Hello everyone, these here are 3 custom Lego tanks that I built. This one here I built in the spring of 2020. This one I built last summer in 2022. And then this one here I built at the beginning of 2023. So let's start off here with this one. We'll take a look at the other two in just a minute. But I want to start off with this one here. This one I feel like is kind of like mid builds for me. I honestly don't love this build, but it's definitely not horrible. I feel like there's some things about that I could have done a little bit better. But yeah, overall, it's definitely not one of my worst builds. And I actually originally built it to be like a more symmetrical kind of build. And then I went back a couple weeks later and was like, you know what? No, I need to add some stuff in here to actually kind of make it like the front and then the back. And not just like all kind of one big thing here. And I do like this, the way that this like turret thing up here was built. I really like the way that that looks up there. And I don't like how kind of like tall this is, and it's not very long. I think it definitely could have benefited from being a little bit longer. This definitely isn't very realistic at all. So yeah, I think it definitely could have benefited a little bit from being longer. But yeah, basically I just kind of got out a base plate and then got out these little light gray curved pieces there, and just was like, you know what, let's see what kind of tank I can build here. So that's kind of what I did there. And then the interior, this roof it's really hard to get off. It's not, I didn't do a very good job of that. That's definitely something I could have done a lot better, was made this a little bit easier to get off there. But this is kind of like the interior. There's nothing really super like exciting going on with it, but there is a seat there, and I never really made a minifigure to go with this build, but yeah, you could put a minifigure down there if you wanted to. So yeah, I feel like this is definitely not one of my worst builds. That's kind of hard to get back on there. Yeah, I really didn't do a good job with the taking the roof part off. But yeah, I feel like this is one of my more kind of mid builds. Not my worst, but also not my best either. And we move from something that I kind of like to something that I really don't like. I really don't like this one at all. It's way too yellow. I feel like, I think a yellow tank is it's just really not a good idea. It doesn't look very menacing at all. I tried to add a little bit of gray there in the front, and that didn't work at all. I think that yellow's just not the best color to do in like a big tank here. Like, I just don't think that it's probably the best color to do a tank. And now I think the whole shape of it isn't that bad. It's kind of like this one, honestly. It's kind of like, it's just too tall. It's not long enough. It should have been, realistically, it should be a lot lower to the ground and a lot longer if this was actually to scale of how actual tanks look. Now, I do kind of like the back here, how I have the ladder. I think that helps to make the back not as boring. And also like the idea of doing the window there, but I don't think I did a very good job of doing that there. It's very boxy, and it doesn't have a good like separation from the window and then the outside. It's just kind of like box window and then box outside. I don't think that it really looks that good. And then there's this piece here, and that can actually it's not supposed to come off there. It does come off pretty easily there, but that's actually just hinged on to the front there. So yeah, again, it's a very flimsy build. That's another reason why I don't like it. It's not very sturdy at all. This is definitely the most flimsy of the 3. The other 2 I can pick up and be rougher with, but this one I just can't at all. It's just not one it's very fragile. And I like these brown, the way that these brown kind of bars come across the front. I do like that. I also like how this cannon thing looks back here. I do really like that a lot. And then something else that I don't like is, well, another piece came off there, but something that I don't really like is the way that the interior looks here. It's just kind of plain, and it's honestly not that good. But I did, I guess, build too many figures to go. This one there, and there's like a little chair down there. But yeah, overall, this is definitely not one of my better builds. This is definitely one of my worst ones for sure. And it's very flimsy. It doesn't look that good. But honestly, it really wasn't going to, because yellow is not the best color for a tank. So I actually think that I spent like almost 9 hours on this one. So I spent a long time on this one too, for it to not be one of my better builds. So yeah, I spent way too long on this, and it honestly doesn't look that good. Here's the final tank that I built, and this one actually kind of had an interesting build process. I actually just kind of stacked some plates on top of each other. It was actually these plates right here, I believe, and I just kind of stacked them on top of each other, and I was like, that's kind of a weird look, and I just kept building, and then I ended up building one of my favorite custom builds that I've ever built before. This is one of my favorite ones that I've ever built. I really like the way that this one turned out a lot. I think that the way that the blue kind of all comes together here just works really well. I think the blue is a much better color than yellow for a tank, because I can kind of mix the darker blues with the lighter blues, and it just is a very interesting contrast. Now, something that maybe would have looked a little bit better is if I, instead of using the white up here, if I had used a more like gray color. Even if I had used light gray, it probably would have looked better. I'm not really sure why I used white on the front, but I guess that was just my choice there. And yeah, this is still one of my favorite custom builds that I've ever built. The bottom here honestly doesn't look, I feel like, super bad there. Now, it only does have one wheel, or two wheels on it, but it only has one set of wheels. It does not have any wheels in the front. It's got these two on the back, and that was just kind of to help it roll around. I'm not even really sure why I put wheels on the back, because it's supposed to be more like a hover tank. I believe is my original intent, was to have this be more like a hover tank. So yeah, I'm not really sure why I put wheels on it, but I think that at least it helps it roll around. And then I did build some minifigures to go with this one here, so I put those two minifigures on the back there. There's kind of like this middle section here where you'd like put some troops and stuff. And yeah, I think that the middle section looks alright. And then here is, I did this like little interesting shape here, and I feel like that actually looks pretty good there. It's like this interesting little shape, and I also like how this part looks on the back there with all the blue, the trans blue pieces there. And then I did also put a minifigure inside of there. Now, something that I don't like about this build here is you can't really get to the interior. You kind of have to start taking bricks off. There's no easy way to actually get inside there to the interior. But yeah, there's not really a whole lot going on there with the interior. So that's definitely the worst part about this build there. And it looks like this piece started to come off there. But yeah, this is definitely my favorite tank for sure, and one of my favorite builds that I've ever built. Again, I think that the way that the blue kind of just contrasts each other, I really do like the way that that looks. And I also did this little shape in the front here as well, where there's kind of like this little, I don't know, this little shape here in the front. I do like the way that that looks there as well. And this was not something I was expecting to be very good when I started. I was just like, we'll just keep building and just see what I come up with, and it's probably not going to be that good. But I kept building, and I eventually came out with this here. And I think it took me about 4 or 5 hours, so much shorter than this yellow one here. And I like it a whole lot better, which is definitely very good for sure. So anyways, that will do it for this video here on 3 custom Lego tanks that I built over the years. I think that this one's mid, this one's bad, mostly bad. This one is mostly good, I feel like. So 3 very different ones for sure, but they all kind of represent the same thing. So anyways, that will do it for this one, and I will see you on the next one.